It's a special Friday morning edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a challenging forecast ahead still. This storm is still yet to make it onto land, really. So the computer models are playing some games. We're going to talk about that in just a second. One thing I want you to take away right away from this video, our forecast, generally speaking, is on track for a 5 to perhaps as much as 10-inch snowfall, with the heaviest of that coming Sunday night into Monday morning. And so we'll talk about the details here. Part of the system that's going to bring us the snow is this monster off the coast of California. Look at this thing. This is just an incredible looking storm. Almost looks like a hurricane. It's got a little eye in the center of it, and this is going to bring all sorts of heavy rain and mountain snows to California. They don't want the flooding and mudslides, but they certainly need the rain. And when I look at this satellite image, it kind of makes me hungry for some Cinnabon. That's what that storm looks like, doesn't it? Take a look at this thing. Looks like a big Cinnabon. So that makes me a little bit hungry on this Friday morning. Maybe that's what I'll have for breakfast. All right, let's talk about our weather as we go into the weekend. No problems today. It's just cold today. I think tomorrow will bring just a touch of snow in the morning. Maybe even it drizzles in the afternoon as we get above freezing. Our problems really start late Saturday night. So again, I want to emphasize, if you want to travel, get anything done this weekend, you should be okay Saturday. Maybe a few slick spots early in the day, but most of the day should be just fine. And then our problems begin. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to plot up the pressure analysis, the surface pressure, and I'm going to show you the upward motion fields in the GFS computer model. And I like to look at this because upward motion in the atmosphere means rising air, clouds, and the faster the air is rising, the heavier the precipitation rates are going to be. I'm going to start this actually with late Saturday night at say 4 in the morning. Zoom in on our neck of the woods here, and you can see there's some, modest upward motion going on here. I think at this point, at about 4 a.m. on Sunday, the snow is not all that heavy at all. So I think the same will hold true for a good chunk of the morning on Sunday. In fact, here's midday Sunday, and again, there's some upward motion in the vicinity, but it's not real bad. So Sunday, I think, is going to be pretty manageable. It's going to be slick at times. It's going to snow. But some of the time it's going to be pretty light, and as I'll show you on some of the other computer models, there's a chance actually the snow even stops for a while on Sunday. There's a break between waves. That's a possibility. So I don't think Sunday is a terrible day to travel. It's going to be much better than it will be Sunday night. But Sunday during the day, you'll just have to navigate a little bit of snow at times and, slow things down. Here we go into Sunday evening then. Here's 7 p.m., and this is where some of the higher upward motion fields are going to be starting to enter Ohio and get close to northeast Ohio. The snow is going to start to pick up, I think. And then, again, the worst of it, as we've been advertising for a couple of days now, will be overnight. Overall, the best upward motion will be down around the I-70 corridor from Dayton to Columbus over to Pittsburgh. But, even this part of the north, it's not bad. Here's Monday morning at 7 a.m. Should be snowing at a pretty good clip at this point. Highest upward motion still down here, but it's pretty high up in the Youngstown area as well. And then things will start to wind down after that. That's Monday at 7 a.m. Here's Monday at 1 p.m. and the show's about over at this point. All the high upward motion fields are heading towards the East Coast. So this is just one computer model, but it's a model that I think generally has a fairly good grasp on what's going to happen here. But the models are playing some games. What I've got here is 4 different models plotted up, and we're going to see some differences as to the ideas here. Bottom model here's the European model, usually a pretty reliable model this close to an event. It has our little bit of snow coming in for Saturday night and Sunday morning. Here's daybreak on Sunday. It's probably snowing lightly at this point, light shades of green around. And then some of those darker greens and heavier snow bands start to get in towards the end of the day on Sunday. And it snows at a pretty good clip Sunday night into Monday morning. Notice overall the heaviest precipitation probably is I-70 on south, according to the European model here. And there'll be some mixed precipitation, probably down towards the Ohio River as well. That's the European. Here's the Canadian model, and this is a model that's quite a bit less reliable typically than the European, but I'm going to show you anyway, to show you an idea that's on the table anyway. The Canadian model has our snow pushing in Saturday night, Sunday morning. Actually, it snows pretty good on the Canadian model Sunday morning, and then that wave pushes away. And notice what happens here: we dry things out from north to south Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, And then the Canadian does not bring the second wave of moisture back in. It's a miss. It all stays south. Look at this. It's all down in Kentucky, West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania. So if the Canadian were to be exactly right, we would get a few inches of snow, but it would be late Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then that's it. That's the end of the show. I don't think that's the most likely scenario at this point, but it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. And actually the NAM model, which I'm showing you here, has a similar idea. It brings in a pretty good wave of snow late Saturday night, Sunday morning. It pushes it away towards the end of the afternoon Sunday, and then the second wave down towards the Ohio River never gets back in here. So these are trends we're going to have to watch. If these trends were to continue, if this second wave keeps trending farther and farther south, you know, no one's going to get 10 inches of snow across the Mahoning Valley, and 5 might even be pushing it. I don't think this is the most likely thing to happen right now, but definitely a trend worth watching. And the GFS model here, it goes back more towards our forecast ideas, in that the snow is not that heavy Sunday morning. Here comes the heavier snow Sunday night with that heavier wave. It continues into Monday morning. So the GFS and the European model say, all right, our forecast is looking good. NAM model, Canadian model, 2 typically less reliable models do raise some big question marks. I am encouraged to see, though, that those question marks are being raised by models that typically don't do as good of a job at this time step. They get more accurate as you get closer to an event, but still a couple of days out, typically they're not quite as reliable. All right, how much snow do the models print out? Here's the GFS model, again, a model that generally jives with our ideas. It's got a solid 7, 8, even 9 inches here in the Mahoning Valley. This is just the latest version of this model. We'll get a new run here late in the morning around midday. So this is just a snapshot of what one particular model last night said, but it has a solid 7, 8, 9 inches. That's the GFS. The Canadian model, which again does not bring that second wave up, it gives us about 3 inches or so with that first wave late Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then the second wave is a miss. So that says our forecast is in deep trouble. You know, again, the Canadian model, not the most trustworthy thing this far out. Back to the European model, which again generally jives with our ideas. Again, solid 7, 8, 9, even 10 inches here, with some high amounts down here that are probably being contaminated by sleet and freezing rain. This graphical output here counts all frozen precipitation here on the map as snow. So a lot of times these maps look much more dramatic than they need to be, because down here, where it's putting out a foot of snow near the Ohio River, there's probably going to be sleet and freezing rain down there, but it's showing up as snow here on the graphic. That's the European operational model. I touched on this yesterday on my social media sites. Let me see if I can make this appear a little bit easier. The ensemble model, there's 51 members of the ensemble model of the European. They take the European model, they run it again 51 times, but each time they run it, the initial conditions are tweaked some. The atmospheric conditions are tweaked, and that gives us more of a range of possibilities of what will happen. You can see the blue down here at the very bottom of your screen. I'm sorry I can't make this appear any better. The blue is the model I just showed you. That's the deterministic model, the one most people see, again giving us pretty close to 8 inches. The green is the ensemble mean, the average of all those 51 members. It's closer to 5.5, 6 inches, so it's a little lower than the deterministic, but still, nonetheless, it jives pretty well with our going forecast. All right, so that's a sort of quick update on what we expect. Again, 5 to 10 is still what we're going to go out with, but there's still question marks. This is not a forecast that's etched in stone. We may end up taking that 5 to 10 number and playing around with it a little bit as new information becomes available. I'll have another edition of this video from the studios this afternoon. Jess is on at midday today with an update, and of course you can check out my forecast tonight at 6 and 11 on 21 News.